generally, when we build a color palette for the level, there's two main things that will give real atmosphere to the level. I mean, I can only talk about how to lead the player, but for atmosphere, they'll tend to build a nice lighting color. So the lighting color will tint everything. Not taint everything, that's bad. But they'll tint everything. It will make everything feel unified and feel good. But the important part is that the key elements still stand out. So you'll want to reserve all your... you've seen a color wheel, haven't you? Do you know what a color wheel is? Okay, so let me think of a nice way to describe this. On a color wheel, you have opposite ends of the spectrum on the color wheel are usually the best colors to use. So you'll notice, shall I do some Googling while we're here? Then you can, can I just plug this Ethernet cable in? Will it work?
No, I think.
I'll just try it.
I don't think you need it to.
Oh, it's doing it. Look at that, look at that. Okay. Oh, it's in Swedish. Okay, Transformers, film. Poster. This might take some time. Ah, great, what a great example. This is the first thing. All right, okay, firstly, look at this picture here. Okay, great, I'm really pleased I found that. On a standard color wheel, you'll see blue on one side and you'll see like the reddy orange on the other side. And that is pretty much what they've done in this picture. They've taken two awesome colors, blue and orange, and they've combined them into a poster. And this is something you'll see everywhere, especially in level design and everything. But the important part here is that you've got two very good contrasting colors which work really well together. And it's so easy to take a poster and make it blue and orange. Let's see if I can do another one. If I put in here, what's a good one? I can't think of any films now. No, never mind. Any games. I'm trying to think of a game which would do that, and that's basically the easiest way to highlight stuff in your level. I mean, Mirror's Edge is great for that because Mirror's Edge uses white and glass and clear and shiny and clean for the whole game, and then only accents it with color just to really bring those bits out. So that's a good way of color emphasizing gameplay. And in fact, not a lot of people realize that when you're playing through Mirror's Edge, blue denotes a standard sort of difficult part, the standard path, and then red accentuates the more hard, more challenging, more exciting parts. Did you notice that? Anyone notice that? That when you play through Mirror's Edge, if you see the red, it's a drain pipe, and it usually goes onto a roof, and you can leap off the roof. But the blue will just tend to be like the route that you follow between the buildings. So it's like for newer players or more casual players can just follow the blue. And if you're a bit more daring, you can grab onto this red drain pipe and go across the girders and leap across the buildings. And that's a really good way of using colour to direct gameplay. Have I gone off on one now? I don't think that was what you asked, was it? It was. Well, anyway, next person. Who's next? I'm going to just start picking people, and you have to come up with a question off the top of your head otherwise. Great. Yep.
I had a question about, you mentioned earlier how you had a problem with LittleBigPlanet running smoothly in the last month or something.
Yep.
How do you keep the confidence in investors or publishers when you're having such a hard time showing a proper representation of the final product?
That's a really good question. Well, we were lucky in the respect that Sony, who were our publisher and our funder, knew as well as anyone that the PS3 is quite hard to. Okay, so let's think about this very carefully. So our more technical-minded people, like our technical director, Alex Evans, who I'm sure you've all seen at different game shows, he's the bald one. He knows how the PS3 works wonderfully, and he knew that the engine they were creating would at some point theoretically be able to run at 30 frames per second, but it wasn't until the end that he was able to really prove this. But he had the confidence and the presence when he walked into a room with directors of Sony to be able to convince them of this. And I think that's very important. It's something you probably won't learn here as such. You won't be taught this, but being really good at what you do is only half the battle. You also have to be able to convince other people that you are really as good as you are at what you do. So yes, our game looked like it was going to be a catastrophic failure because it ran at 10 frames per second, and everything we built was not particularly fun because it was so slow and jerky to play. But our directors had the confidence to be able to speak, openly to whoever needed to listen and say, wow, this game is going to be incredible, and don't worry about the frame rate, we can sort that out, it's going to be fine. And they'll say, oh, are you sure? It looks a bit slow. And they go, no, it's fine because we are as good as you need us to be. So I think for keeping that confidence, you just need to be able to present yourself well in a way that believe in what you say is true. Obviously, if you're lying and you don't know if it's going to be good enough, then that might go horribly wrong for you. But are you level design, or are you more like technical? What is your...
I'm more level design.
Right, cool. Okay, so you shouldn't have to worry about that too much. What you will have to worry about is that if they don't find the level of fun from the start, they're not going to like it. And no amount of art is going to basically help you on that one. So what I find whenever I show someone something work in progress is that they will judge it as if it's final. They won't ever believe that it's work in progress. They'll go, yeah, I know work in progress. And then they'll go play it and they go, no, we couldn't sell this. And you just think, no, it's work in progress. It's not been finished yet. But the important part is that you come across in the way that makes them feel like the level is going to be that good. It's going to be great when it's finished. You need to be able to talk the talk as well as walk the walk. So, sorry, that's an English phrase. Have you heard that before? Yeah. Wow. Do you guys watch a lot of TV? A lot of English TV, of English films? Yeah, great. So yeah, I mean that's the best way I think is firstly believe that you can do it, and secondly be able to convince them that you're going to do it. Actually, I'm going to go to another point that I forgot to mention, which is that one of the funniest things that'll happen when you see someone who's brand new to the company in design is they'll build a level, and then you'll be playing through a section, which it seems pretty cool. And then you get to an area where there is nothing. There's just a flat piece of block or something, a flat piece of wood. And they'll go, oh yeah, there's going to be gameplay here. Okay, and then the next bit, and you go, whoa, hold on. What gameplay? Oh, that's where you kill the troll. It's fine. I haven't built that bit yet, but it's going to be really fun. I know it. In fact, I think it's going to be the best part of this level. And then you suddenly have to say to them, well, to be honest, that doesn't really mean anything, saying like there is going to be gameplay here, because there isn't. And until you see something, it's play something. It could be the most monumental thing in the world in your head, but until it's in the game, you can never know. So it just fills you with a bit of doubt. And the more you start hearing, oh yeah, I'm going to do some gameplay here, and not actually seeing it, the less likely you are to trust that they're going to be able to deliver. But yeah, cool. Wow, I really rambled a lot there. Who's next? Okay, I'll pick someone else because you at the back there. So. Great. So,
why?
Okay, well this is great. It means I can go back and be nostalgic about the game at the start. So when I joined Media Molecule, LittleBigPlanet was a platformer game. It didn't have 3 levels. You could go anywhere you liked, so you could run into the back of the screen, or you could be infinitely deep, basically into the screen. You could go anywhere. So, which was what they thought was a great way of giving designers like all the room to basically experiment as they needed. But I think the important part was that we discovered that we needed limitations to be able to push those limitations. If you're not given boundaries, you can't really work well. If someone said to you, build any game you like, it's anything, just go crazy, and you go, okay, I'm gonna build something. It's gonna be really good though. And you start to think about things. And it gets a bit messy and you're not really sure, but if they say, right, build the best flight simulator game you can make, then you're given a framework and you're given limitations to be able to go crazy. So yeah, I was working on a platformer, but we realized that we needed to have a limited space to work with. So we came up with the idea of layers. And layers are just a plane. It's a very digital concept. I don't mean digital like games. I mean like you can only be on one plane or the other. You could never be just halfway between one. If you pushed up on the left stick, you'd hop back a layer, push down, he'd move forward a layer. He was never able to be halfway between, so you couldn't walk into walls which were in between the layers or anything. And this allowed us to then start building clearer levels and cleaner levels to navigate. It helped us do that. The best thing that was missing from the game when I first joined was death. It was death. No, you couldn't die in LittleBigPlanet when I first played it. There was no way to die, and there was no way to respawn, and it was boring. It was so boring. And I remember speaking to my directors and saying, if you can't die, then there's nothing to be afraid of. And they're like, well, we don't want people to be afraid. It's a game for everybody. It's a fun game. Well, yeah, with fun games, you need to have risk and need to have something to overcome. Otherwise, it's just It's just a film that you basically walk through. There's a lot of games which fall into that trap, actually. They make them too easy and too accessible that nobody really likes it, because, you know, even the youngest children love... Super Mario Galaxy is amazing because it gets hard from the start, but it's hard in a readable way, you know. You can die a dozen times in the first levels of that game, but yet you understand why you died. You didn't go like, oh, what just killed me? It was obviously the big rolling ball that goes around the globe. You know, it was quite clear, so it's perfect. I love the design of Mario Galaxy. It's brilliant. So what else changed? We didn't have buttons or switches or levers when I first joined the company. Everything had to be done with physics. So if you wanted a door to open, you had to find a block big enough to push onto a lever, which would then lift the door. And it was so tiresome because you spent most of your day making the ability to open this door rather than what was behind the door. So what ended up happening was that you'd go, right, okay, I've just been working this level for 8 hours. I have got the door to the entrance of the level, and it works by you push this block and it falls in there and this opens. And like, great, when next? Well, that'll be tomorrow. I'll just get started on that. And then it makes it a really slow and time-consuming process. So I spoke to one of the gameplay programmers who, if you have a good gameplay programmer with you, if you work with a good gameplay programmer, you'll never want to leave him or her. Let them go, because they're amazing. If a good gameplay programmer listens to what you said and goes, oh yeah, I can do that. I could probably just whack something up in a couple of hours. Then you'll be just like, oh, thank you, because then they can do the things which you need them to do. Like, for instance, creating buttons and pistons and levers. And they're all the mechanical parts of the game which simplify everything for us to build levels with. So if you hook a button, if you just put a big red button down, like one of the buttons you saw at the start here, and hook it up to a piston, pushing that button will make the piston contract. And then suddenly you've got a door that can open, and it took you a minute rather than 6 days. And that allows you then to worry about your job, which is making a fun level. And that was because, you know, we basically asked for this. There's so many things that the game didn't have actually at the start, and it's not even because, you know, within development, cool. I was hoping it isn't going to get a slideshow of my holiday pictures, otherwise it'll be really embarrassing in my swimming shorts. It's, you know, all games grow as you build them. All games change as you go through them. But if it's not included in the initial design document, I would consider it like an addition to the game. If it was never from the start designed that you'd be able to jump, and then someone said, we should be able to jump now. I mean, like Bionic Commando, the first game, Rearmed, you couldn't jump in it. And it was because it was staying true to the original Bionic Commando from the arcade days, I guess, or the Atari, or I can't remember what it was on. Anyone else know what it was on? The NES. Oh, blimey, that is quite that's quite embarrassing. I was alive when the NES was around, by the way. Yeah, but of course, Bionic Commando Rearmed, they introduced jump, and this is a brand new thing for that game. But they did it because they thought, well, you know what, people just didn't like not being able to jump, so let's just do it. And that was a great decision, if you ask me, because I recently played like an early build of it. It's so much better because you feel like you're not stuck. You feel like you've got the ability to move, which is good. That was made by a Swedish developer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was, yeah. It's very good. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's enough. I think it might be. Who's next? One of you two. I don't know. Fight to the death, maybe. We'll do both of you. Okay, you first.
Well, this doesn't have to do with LittleBigPlanet or game development, but you said you liked Devil May Cry.
Oh yes.
What do you think of the fifth game that is being developed by
Ninja Theory, yeah, of course. Right, good. That's a really good question. I actually, now you're probably not going to agree with me on this one. I quite like the new Dante. I know you're probably thinking, why? Because that's what most of the internet seems to think, but I do like him. I think what I like about him, actually one of the things I don't like about him is the fact he smokes, which is a really strange thing to not like about a character, but considering Dante in the later, well, I guess later games, because this is a prequel, or the earlier games when it was built, he didn't smoke, and it's not because I object to smoking in particular or anything, but I just felt like it was an addition to try and make him feel cool when he was cool enough. Like, is it not cool enough to be able to stand on a sword while kicking like a demon spawn in the face, or do you have to like, smoke while you do it. It just seemed a bit strange, like he was like shotgunning things, or handgunning things in the face, and he was going, yeah. Didn't really feel good to me, but I do like his direction because I don't think change is a bad thing myself. Like, Medal of Honor is a good example of a game which decided that, you know what, we need to change. We've been making the same World War II shooter for, 15 years or something. I don't know how long it's been going for. And they decided to change. And I'm not sure if it was just influenced because of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but it just was a new direction. They decided to take a new direction. It already makes me feel like, good. It's going to be the same kind of gameplay that I like. Like, I'm sure Devil May Cry will feel the same, but it will look different. Now, Ninja Theory are a good company. They're making Enslaved, which looks fun and everything. I'm more concerned that they'll start changing the mechanics of how the game plays, because Heavenly Sword didn't play like Devil May Cry. Like, a lot of people think Heavenly Sword was like Devil May Cry, but it was far more like God of War, and that's, I don't know, who's played God of War? Everyone's played God of War, surely. And who's played Devil May Cry, who's played both basically, because Devil May Cry is so different to God of War that it annoys when people think they're the same, because they're not. Like, God of War is about hitting as many enemies as you can in one go, whereas Devil May Cry for me is about dominating one enemy while being able to switch to the other enemy, while, it's about focusing your attacks in a cool way and then linking them to the next enemy. So you knock like 2 into the air, take those 2 out with the handguns, and then be ready to throw your sword at the next one. That was a really cool power. I thought when you had a boomerang sword, it's the best thing ever when you could throw this sword and it would start slicing the demon on your own, and then you could start punching this one in the face while you're waiting for your sword to come back, and it would come back, and then you'd keep going with the sword. Oh, it's great. Yeah, but yeah, do you like the new Dante? Do you like him?
I'm not quite sure actually, but I think the game seems really interesting.
Yeah. Do you think it's because he doesn't have white hair?
No, it's not because of that.
Yeah.
It's more that he seems kind of out of character.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they did want to change it. I was reading a cool article where Capcom had actually said to Ninja Theory, they said, we want you to go away and come back with some designs of Dante that are so out there, we're going to just turn you down. We want to see designs that make us go, what? And they came back with some ridiculous stuff. They came back with all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm trying to think of one. I was reading this magazine. I think at one point he was going to be transgender or something. I think he literally wasn't going to be a boy or a girl anymore. He was going to be something in between. And they went, okay, this is more like it, but we're going to probably step back a bit from that, which is good, because they basically said, it wasn't Ninja Theory going, I know, let's just throw everything we know. Let's just create something from scratch. They actually thought, well, let's change it. It's going to be good for the franchise. It'll be good. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, I was wondering about the tools you developed for LittleBigPlanet, because I've heard that the tools in the game were the tools you use. Are there any differences between what you use and what consumers use?
Okay, cool. Hold on, I'll wait for these guys to leave. Yeah, if you want to go, guys, you can just go. It's cool.
Yeah,
so,
I'm less than right now.
Oh no, go for it. No, honestly, there's no problem at all. Just waiting for you to. Thank you. That was fun. Have you got lessons as well? Oh well, if you got a lesson, then that's it then. Well, thanks anyway. But yeah. Oh well, I'll answer your question very quickly. Okay. So when making LittleBigPlanet, we did actually have a PC editor for the first game for a lot of it, because they hadn't finished creating the tools. But for the second game, we've used nothing but PS3 controllers to build all the levels. And that's absolutely the truth, because when we hired people from the community, we've hired two designers from the community, and when we did, it was easier for them to use the controllers which they built levels for like a year than try and train them up in something else. So I just basically use a controller. That's all we use. The artists use 3D Studio Max to generate the assets, and the sound people use SoundForge or whatever else they use to, Cubase or whatever to make the music. But we just use PS3 controllers, and the best part is that we're testing the tools every day that we use them, because we go, this is just not, I keep doing the same problem every single day, can we fix that? And it's like having another 5 QA people at all times just working with the tools. So yeah, it's great. I mean, that's, you're not going to have that when you come to most companies. You'll never be able to, you never use a PS3 controller to build games, but it always looks good when you have kids come around to see your game and they go, wow, look, I told you they used it with a controller, and mum and dad are like, yeah, okay, so playing games is like making games. That's how it is. Have you ever seen that trailer, like tweak the graphics on level 3? Have you ever seen that one? Oh, okay, I'm gonna show you this thing. This is funny. Oh, I can't believe I can't find it. That should be the most obvious thing ever. Okay, one last thing. One last thing before you go. This is the one. This is great. So this is basically what a lot of young children believe is what it is to build games, but unfortunately at the same time it kind of is what you do at the Media Molecule. So we do conform to this. Oh, hold on, I can't hear it. How do we turn up the volume, by the way, on the on this thing? I'll push something. It's all in Swedish. How do you turn the volume up? There you go, there you go, there you go. I have to push that, hold that button down. Okay, that's probably enough.
That's a bit too loud, baby.
So, where do you think this guy should be? I'd say this way. And let's make sure that sound effect we used in the last level fits in here too. This one? Yeah. You know, I'm so glad I got into game design. It's cool to be able to create the kind of games that we play. I know what you mean. And the training at Collins College takes less time than most people might think. Can you believe we get paid to do this?
For a complimentary DVD, call 888-823-0999. Operators are standing by. That's 888-823-0999. Call that.
Yeah, that is actually what it's like at Media Molecule. So that's the tragedy of it, so there you go. Do you guys need, can I keep going, or?
When is your taxi here to pick you up?
Oh, it's okay, my laptop's on old time. Is it, what time is it? Is it 3?
Almost 3.
Can I just quickly check my phone? I'm sorry, but this is not.
3:30.
I think it is 3:30, isn't it, my taxi? I think it is. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I'm just going to quickly check. Because if I miss this taxi, I don't get to go home and you have to put up with me for a couple of hours. Oh, 3:10.
Well, maybe it's better to round up a bit.
Okay, well, I'm going to, I'll basically finish there. But thank you guys very much for your time.